All right, now let's understand the marketing process. As part of the marketing process, as part of either either for OPT CPD or for H1, basically the marketing guy, the business development manager, he gets a resume. So you as the VPH will give you, or the VPH will give them the resume. That's done. Once they have the resume, they will clean it, make sure it looks good. There are some specific issues in H1 H2 resumes. They try to portray their employers, whereas in America, consulting positions are obtained by showing only clients. They should not write their employers. What it means is, let's say they're working for TCS, they will write TCS in their resume. That's not correct. They should, and let's say as a TCS representative, they were providing services at Bank of America which was the end client. So they need to put the Bank of America name in the resume, not TCS. This is a major mistake H1 has to people do. In OPT CPT case, they are freshers, they don't know how to present their resume well. Please ask your manager, what kind of twist do you make to the resume to make sure it looks good. So please ask these things from the manager. Coming back to H1, so now they got the resume. Then they go to various websites like dice.com, linkedin.com, career builder, monster.com, and then they float the resume there, and they make their profile and float the resume. They make a search and apply to all these positions. We have Dice lead gen people, that's a horizontal, that's available to everybody. They are horizontal people, they're available to everybody. You tell them that these are the applies they have to do every day, and then they will do it for you. That's beside the point. But anyway, you can also read yourself. It's not a big deal. Medium sometimes do it themselves. That's not a problem. And then they apply, and then they get calls. Once they get a lot of calls, they basically take those calls and they answer a lot of questions for the candidate. They may ask they may ask questions related to whether the candidate has the right skill set, how many years experience does he have, does he have the right visa, is he ready to work at the client side, is he not ready to work at the client side, if it is remote, what kind of rate does he want. So typically we work with H1S2, we work on 80-20 basis. With OPT CPT we work on like flat fee basis at $28 per hour. $28 per hour, we give them $28 per hour and keep the rest with us. So you will tell them the rate, and then and things like that. And so it's a per hour rate always. It's always 40 hour per week, it's always per hour, although, and that's how the rates works in the this thing. And they'll be signing a cop to cop contract. When we are looking for positions, we don't go for full-time positions or W2 positions. Full-time positions means they will be working and with the end client directly. Our candidates don't have the ability because they don't have green card citizens, so they cannot work with them. W2 position means they will be working with vendor. Remember, I didn't say it anywhere. So we should not be targeting those positions, because those positions means our candidates do not have green card or citizenship, right? So they cannot work with the vendor either on W2 basis, because they'll have to join their payroll. They're on our payroll, they have to stick to our payroll because they're on our H1 or on our OPT. They cannot easily shift. Even OPT guys cannot easily shift. Remember I told you. So from that perspective, they'll stay with us, and then and we had to market their resume. And so the vendor company will write a corp to corp contract with us, or company to company contract. It's called as corp to corp or C2C. So on C2C basis, they will work with us, and that C2C basis will be an hourly rate, and that's a 40-hour week always. And that's the only, those are the only positions that we should look for. We should not look for W2 or full-time positions, because that's of no use, right? Now coming to once C2C positions we have finalized, and we got we submit the resume. Typically after 1 week, or you have to do a lot of, the BDM has to do a lot of follow-up, and he, after 1 or 2 weeks, the vendor will contact back saying that hey, there is an interview request. Vendor on the behind the scenes must have gotten 20-30 resumes. He would have shortlisted 2 or 3 resumes, and he would have given that to the end client, sent that to the end client. And then once the end client would have looked at those resumes in 2-3 days, 2-3 weeks, and then he would have come back and said, I want to interview these 2 people out of 3 or 4 resumes that must. So this end client must have told all the vendors to give them 2 resumes. He may be having 10-20 resumes, and he'll shortlist the candidates, and he'll say, okay, I want to interview these candidates, and then he will conduct the interviews. And then typically end client, and within the end client there will be 2 or 3 hiring managers who will do the interviews, separate interviews. There will be 1 technical round always, which will be hyper technical. Rest will be personality rounds and things like that. There will be usually minimum 2. Many a time there will be as many as 3. Mostly 3 rounds are there. Sometimes there are 4 rounds. 2 rounds are minimum. It's very rare to have just 1 round of interview and then get selected. Vendor will always say there is 1 round only, but it's never so. In case OPT CPT or H1 H2, okay, in any case they will say that there is. But now coming back to this thing, once both the rounds are over, then they say, we like the candidate, they will offer, and that's one we call as a closure. Once the closure comes, We prepare the candidate for joining. If it's an OPT CPT guy, we train him in the JD job description, make sure he's very ready. We would have done that's the same thing before interview also. We would do the same again after the interview and after the closure, and make sure that he's ready for joining. We have to make sure he goes to the client side and starts working there, right? Right, and he starts working there, right? And once he starts working there, after every week he sends a timesheet. We get the timesheet, we keep it in our records. After a month, typically after like we pay the salary to the candidates on 15th till the 30th. Let's say they work from 14th to 30th, so that salary 14th to 30th will be paid on 15th of the next month, and then next month's 1st to 30th salary would be paid on the 15th of the following month, and so on and so forth. So basically that's how we pay them. And so then you need to make sure the candidates are getting paid. Our BDMs are very well attuned to that. And remember, candidates at this point, they start driving, when will my salary come, when will salary come. So you cannot do too wrong. Where we go wrong is in doing submissions and doing like this. So this is the marketing overview. This is how marketing is done. Then there is recruitment side. On OPT CPT, there is a different kind of recruitment. The way we do it is we have various lead sources, like for example Facebook, or we have friends referrals, and we call friends, call different OPT candidates that we have, and then we call our supplier friends, we call different kind of people, and then we get the referrals. Facebook groups is a very good source of OPT candidates, but then there is Indian Students Association websites on various universities. How do you do it? Mega Google Indian Students Association. You will get a lot of websites on Google. Go to each and every website, look for the Indian Students Association, look for the president's number, and there are 5-6 board members. Cold call them, and then they'll tell them that we are getting jobs for people, and they'll give you the job. They'll get you some candidate. You need, after cold calling, you need only one candidate. If you place him or her, you're done. Then you'll get unlimited referrals from him or her, right? So this is how you get the candidates. This is the candidate cycle. Then you once you get the candidate lead, so level 1 lead is when you get, so level 2 lead is a person who has shown interest. Level 1 lead is, remember I told you there is a board of directors and all that of Indian Student Association. That's your level 1 lead. You cold call 6 of them or 60 of them, you'll get 1 lead. That's your level 2 lead who has shown interest. Then level 2 lead, you talk to them. They are obviously talking to many people. You tell them that this is how much you will pay. You'll put your conditions. They have to put your name in the service. They have to come to the guest house. They have to start training and blah blah blah. And then you'll ask them to come to the guest house, right? Once they come to the guest house or fulfill any of the conditions, either they go to the service or something, those conditions are changing every day. Every month we have a new policy regarding OPT CPT level 3 lead. Only then we start marketing, because we have to put a lot of effort. So please talk to your manager and make sure you know the latest policy. Now after level 3, once the person is level 3, then what we do is we once the person is level 3, we start his marketing. That's pretty much what it means. And once the marketing is done, during the marketing process, they'll have a lot of questions. How my marketing is going, this is that, and you get them calls, and help them clear the interviews, help them clear the present the resume well, help them take the vendor calls, and so on and so forth. Eventually, when they clear the interview, then motivate them to go to the job. They'll be a little bit scared of going to the job. Do all that. That's called as candidate relationship management, and that's a separate department called CRM. And that's what the role typically managers end up taking. The revenue model owners typically end up taking this job of controlling these small risks. BDM work is standard. It's a canned job. BDM work, the marketing guy sits, he has the resume, and he tries to get the interview. Once he gets the interview cleared, his job is pretty much over. Rest of the other things, recruitment and handling the relationship with the candidate, these are your things. You have to do these things really well. So many revenue model owners, typically with 1 or 2 BDMs, they will be making a good team, and that's how it works. Now coming to, so once the person starts working there, typically very less work is there, but there may be small things related to timesheet, this, that. So revenue model owner owns all those things and make sure there are horizontal people who basically help them, but still, this is your responsibility. Now this is your revenue, this is your OPT CPT marketing, and how the ECS is done and everything, and how the recruitment is done. How recruitment is done in H1, H2. We get the list from various sources, and those we call as level 1 leads, because they have not shown interest yet. We call them or message them. Then some people show interest. We send a simple message. Hey, we have jobs. Are you interested? And we have a lead gen team. They can do this job. It's a very simple message. Once people show interest, then a level 2 proper recruiter is assigned. Once they become level 2 leads, then a proper recruiter is assigned. That proper recruiter, okay, at the level 2 level, there are, even in OPT CPT and in H1, H2, there are a lot of protocols that have to be done. Their WhatsApp group has to be created. Their record has to be created in candidate sheet. They have to be given, they have to be forwarded certain voice notes and certain questionnaires, and you have to get the answers of those questionnaires, and you have to basically send them a lot of write-ups also. These we may be sending them the links to some videos as well. They need to look at those, and they need to be given access to certain trainings also, so things like that. Okay, so there are, so level 2 is checklist. The checklist for all the things that need to be done once the level 2 lead is obtained is there for every OPT CPD and H1S2 for everybody. Okay, now coming to the next part. Then once once level 2 checklist is given to H1S2, they have hundreds of questions. Actually, converting from level 2 to level 3 of an H1 is a big task. But anyway, level 3, they would agree at some point of time, they will give their documents. We need their SSN, DL, and a couple of things. SSN, DL, we need their SSN number. No, we need their DL, we need their passport number. Yeah, we need just these few things, and their resume. 3 things. We don't need their SSN, I think. When we have these 3 things, we can start their marketing. And once we have these 3 things, that's the criteria that the level 3 lead is ready, and then we start their marketing. Once we get the job, they have to take the interview. We prepare them for the interview, make sure they are able to understand the interview and clear the interview. Once they clear the interview, their paperwork starts. Once their paperwork starts, their H1 visa is also filed. A lot of hand holding is needed with the candidate at this point. That's where RMO comes into picture, revenue model owner, the owner of the business. You'll be having 1 or 2 BDMs, and rest you'll be having a, you need to talk to these guys and understand what they want, and make sure they are doing a good job, and make sure the candidates are understanding what they're getting into, because at this point we're looking at spending $4,000 to file the visa. If after a week or so he refuses to join us, that's a very big issue. After 1 week or so, he can join us. Another thing is, the candidate has to give the resignation at his current job. Many a time, right at the last moment, they are not willing to do that, and that's a very big problem. So you need to understand that, you need to prepare them for this, and make sure they don't lie to us that they will join us, but they shouldn't, but they wouldn't. So that would be a very big thing too. So they will go to the client side and start working, and that's the start of their H1. That's the end of the recruitment pretty much, and the CRM starts. Then there are small issues which keep coming. They want to know when their salary would come, when the H1 approval will come, so and so forth, and all those will keep on going. Those are administration things. Those are driven by candidates. We never see issues in those. Their timesheet should be obtained on time. We pay the salaries on the basis of timesheet, so we never pay them salaries otherwise. So they know it. They will know all these things, and they'll be fine. And they'll be, so then after this, candidate will drive the entire work, and very little work is remaining on the RMA or the entire team side. So this is the way H1H2 recruitment is done. On vendorship side, what happens is, typically there are 2 main things. We have to keep becoming vendor of a company. Once we become a vendor of the company, we call it initial setup. So initial vendorship setup, becoming initial vendorship setup, we have to become a vendor of either state or various clients, and we have to do cold calling to become that. We have to get them to sign MSA. Once the MSA is signed, we become their one of the preferred vendors. It's not easy to become preferred vendor of big companies, but it's very easy to become preferred vendor of small or medium-sized companies. So it's all about becoming their vendor. Once we become their vendor, we provide them services. We provide them various, we provide them these IT services, IT candidates, and that's our job, right? So we get ongoing positions. Once we get the ongoing positions, we make a record, and then we, from various sources, either from suppliers or from LinkedIn, or we have LinkedIn subscription, or from some friend of mine, or I have some recruiter friends who give me resumes. So we get those resumes from them, and then we fulfill the requirements and then send the resume to them. If we make, let's say, 20-30 submissions, we'll get 1 interview, and out of 5 interviews, we'll get clear 1 or 2 interviews. Once we get the interview cleared, we do the paperwork and get the person to join us. Pretty much that's your vendorship cycle of recruitment. And there is no marketing in that. It's just recruitment, and it's just account management. We get the position, and then we look for the candidate for that, and that's done. Vendorship is a standard business. You can find a lot of people who understand vendorship. The rest of the 2 are not standard business. It's very hard to find people who have those skill set, right? H1S2 and OPT CPT. All right, guys, this is an overview of various recruitment and marketing enterprise. Thank you.